Good day, my name is ROSHANDEV Daniel, and today I'm going to be showing you on tutorial 2 on how to create a multiplayer game using Photon Pun for a rock and paper scissors game. So, as you can see on my screen here, I've created 4 different scenes, and the scene currently is the main menu scene. So in this main menu scene, what needs to be done is to create 2 buttons that allow you to pick between that allows a player to pick between a single player and a multiplayer. Once that is done, we can move on to the next step before we take it any further to install Photon into our packages for our Unity project. So we can head on to the Unity store and download it from the Unity store for free and add it to our assets. Once that is done, we can go to our Photon Cloud and to our dashboard to create a new Photon Cloud server that has an app ID that will be given once it has been created. So this is currently the one that I've created. And once that is done, we can then go on to the package manager and import it. So I've already imported Photon into my project, so you can go on and do the same. Once you have imported Photon into your project, just add the app ID into the requested part, and then your Photon is set up in your system. Done with that, now we can go on and create a new scene known as lobby. And then in this new scene, we will create a canvas and name it, and as well as an empty game object. 2 empty game objects. One is a room setting and one is waiting room. Once that is done, we can then create an image for the logo. We can also reset the size to what we want it to be and height. We can also create an input field for one username, duplicate it, and the next one for room ID, and a button to enter the room. So once this is done, we can then adjust it to where we want it to be, including the button. So then we can go to the waiting room, add a text for player 1 and player 2. The button from enter room can be duplicated and be put into the waiting room. Once that is done, we turn off the waiting room and add a game manager. So the packages that we will need to install, which I'll leave in the description, have this script. So we need to add the lobby manager script and the Photon view script. Once we're done with that, we can then start to fill up the lobby manager script with the correct info inside and ensure that the enter room button used is from the waiting room. So once this is done, we can go back onto the main menu, add 2 new scripts, which is the connect server and my scene. So I've added the script back again, enter it and add lobby. Go to the button for single player, add the game manager function, and in that, add the my scene, change scene, and for the multiplayer, add the connect to server. And now we can duplicate the game, the first game that we created in tutorial 1, duplicate it and change the computer into player 2 and player 1. Once that is done, we can go on to the rock and paper all the buttons and remove the original button script as well as the original game manager script. Now we will add the new game manager script, spawn player script, as well as the Photon view. Now we add the player's name and the new game manager object. Once that is done, we can add the new button script and add it correctly accordingly to the choice value as well as the game manager. So once this is done, we can fill it all up. And once we have done doing this, we can go on to build it. In our build settings, it is important to add the scenes in the build accordingly. So I've added the main menu, the game, the lobby, and the multiplayer game accordingly in the build settings before building and running it. Once we are done with this, we can go on to set the size in the player settings, in which we can set it to windowed and how much we want the size to be. And once that is done, we can go ahead and build it. And then now we are able to test it out. So once we have done the game, now we can test it out. So I'm going to click on multiplayer and multiplayer. As you can see now, it displays both the names. Once that is done, now we have to choose. So as the player 1, I will choose first. And so I've chosen scissors, and player 2 will then choose paper. And it will show that on both screens that player 1 have won, and we can continue to play again. So that's all from me. Thank you.